For the last time, the sidebar. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem Podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 160 of the Anthem Podcast, recorded live in beautiful downtown Los Angeles, California, high above the 110 freeway in the beautiful downtown or OTA LA studios.
Yeah.
But beautiful today, but there is a dark cloud, well, maybe two dark clouds hanging over the city of Los Angeles. The first, fear.
Impending nuclear war.
Well, no. Fear in my eyes, because next week is Drinko de Mayo.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it at all.
I went out drinking last night. Thankfully, I had the foresight to go Rob, live stream that.
So everybody should check that out on the Facebook feed. It's there, and it is gold. Yeah.
So, yes, we're 1 week away from Drinko de Mayo. Drinko de Mayo IV. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, who would have thought?
And much like every year, we're going to need your magic words. So, for people who are new, people who haven't heard Drinko de Mayo before, first of all, I would very much suggest you go check it out because it's worth it.
Corey's warning ahead of the first Drinko de Mayo from the next day
where
magic.
You could see the dead in my face from all the drinking that had been done. Yeah. That wasn't even the day after. That was 3 days after.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's fantastic. But make sure you check the show notes or go to otheanthem.com and you can find the links to the previous three Drinko de Mayos.
So essentially the rules. Let me just set it up so people know. We will have a set of magic words, usually things that are in the news or that we talk about a lot. And if we mention one of those things, then it's a drink.
Right.
And also drink.
There are words that we're not allowed to say every year. And
yeah.
then there is a magic list that changes based on the stories that we're going to talk about.
Right. So, I mean, Trump will probably be a word.
I would guess so.
Yeah.
Stephanie Rawlings Blake was the term last year. We couldn't speak
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
We couldn't say her name, SRB, or any version of her
right.
name. And if you did, then you have to take a drink. But if somebody says, oh, drink, now I have to drink because I said the word drink.
And just to illustrate this, I did 14 or 16 shots in an hour.
Yeah.
During the first Drinko de Mayo.
It was a lot. It was a lot.
It got out of hand quick.
What you should do is you should absolutely watch the
tequila too.
Yeah, always do tequila. And we'll do a little recap of the story of Drinko de Mayo as we always do. But cut forward to about 45 minutes in. I think it's 45:30 into the first Drinko de Mayo, where Corey lets out this noise that is the most magical thing I've ever heard. It makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
But this year, though, is going to be different than every previous Drinko de Mayo. And why is that?
Because this year, much like we spoke about the sidebar going away, RIP sidebar, we are going to be live streaming Drinko de Mayo.
What?
Yeah. And not only, obviously everything we're talking about right now is assuming best case scenario and no technical interference.
And that we have internet access.
Yeah, internet has been down all weekend here. So, I don't want to make any huge promises and have forces beyond my control stop it. But the plan is to live stream next Saturday.
Yes, next Saturday.
So that's the 6th, May 6th.
May 6th, sometime between 5 and 6 Eastern time, which would be 2 and 3 Pacific time.
Yeah.
And we will be hopefully, theoretically, live on Facebook and on YouTube. So you can find us on either of those places that we typically live stream.
Right.
And that means that you'll be able to participate with us, along with us live.
Yeah.
That means you'll be able to comment. You'll be able to ask questions. We're hoping that maybe we'll be able to take some calls. We'll see how the setup works, but hopefully.
If nothing else, you can text the listener line.
Right.
And we'd be able to get to them right there.
Yeah.
Along with comments and Facebook and
So
YouTube or Twitter or whatever. We'll be monitoring the situation.
And for the first year, we won't have lag shots where we have missed the call, and we have to note that in the podcast.
Yeah,
you'll call us out.
Yeah. If we haven't taken that drink yet, just keep hammering in the comments until one of us drinks.
So it is. It's going to be new. The studio. We're going to have a new studio set up. We're going to have a new everything. Next week is going to be totally different, and it's not just Drinko de Mayo. From this point onward, you are going to have an entirely new experience for the Anthem.
Yeah. So the plan is next week will be the first of many weeks where we're going to be live streaming. We're going to be doing the shows live, and then releasing it
Right. So
on Tuesday like usual.
Yeah,
so.
if you can't catch it, it's always going to be available in the same way it is on Tuesday. But if you're there and available, you can watch it live as well.
Yep.
But the other cloud...
And I'm really excited about that. With what we've been working on here to try and make it a step up from where we have been so far, I'm really looking forward to how it all comes together. And it'll be a little bit rough at first, but I think over the next couple weeks as we get
into
our feet,
stride.
yeah,
and it'll be very interesting if you watch Drinko de Mayo 1, Drinko de Mayo 2, Drinko de Mayo 3, and then this one, all in the succession, because you can see the advancement that happens over the years, and now we're just taking it up another notch year after year.
That was a very good point you made, because the first Drinko de Mayo was just a camera pointed at the two of us.
Yeah, it was the first one we did video for, I think, yeah.
Well, I mean, we did video at your place a couple times for...
The practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe episode 2 or 3 or something like that.
Maybe.
Had a GoPro in the corner or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But you guys didn't see that. Yeah. That didn't go anywhere.
This is the first one. Drinko de Mayo 1 was the first one where we had video running.
Yeah.
Drinko de Mayo 2, we had 2 cameras.
Yeah.
We had the sidebar or the information screen.
Yeah.
And we even had a scoreboard up there.
I think so, right?
And then 3, we had the sidebar.
It was in the format that you've essentially been watching for the last year.
Right. And 4 will now be
the brand new setup.
Yeah.
And I would like to think that as this progresses, maybe Drinko de Mayo becomes our rollout of new things.
Maybe, yeah.
And maybe picking the episode where we drink a lot is not the best episode to do that.
To try new things.
Maybe not, but we'll see. You guys will come
It's gonna
along
be
with us.
It's gonna be really funny when it's like, oh watch, look, I'm gonna put a picture of a puppy up on the thing, and then I click it, and then it's like feed feed
cut.
Yeah.
But we'll be learning along with you guys. Hopefully you can watch and enjoy the show along with us. So the other dark cloud that's hanging over LA, if you go back a couple of episodes, we talked about the writer's strike. And at that point, we were very positive. We wanted to discuss it because we were sure that they were going to come up with an agreement, and we wanted to talk about it before the agreement was struck.
Yeah.
But now we're on the precipice, and it looks to be a little further fetched.
As of about 4:00 afternoon Pacific time on
Sunday, yeah.
There is no deal between the writers and the studios.
Yeah.
They're
meeting right now.
They're meeting right now, hypothetically.
Yeah.
This could all be solved by Tuesday, which is the deadline.
Right.
Monday at midnight is the deadline.
Right.
But right now it's looking more and more like strike.
Yeah.
And the last couple writers' strikes have lasted a little while. So I guess we've both been reading up on it. Is there anything that you're noticing from an outsider, as somebody who's done negotiations before?
Yeah.
As like problems for the Writers Guild or problems for...
I don't think that there's problems per se. I think that the guild during the last negotiation, or not the last one, the negotiation in 07, which wasn't the last one.
Yeah,
They've had one. Have they had one?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 10-year contract?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought it was 5, but nonetheless, essentially what they saw was that they went out on strike. While they were striking, it seems as though the Association of Motion Picture Television Producers, right? AMT,
I think so.
God, yes. Got together and said, well, listen, we can give them everything they're asking for, and then we'll just change the way that we do everything.
Yeah.
And as soon as the deal was struck, the very next season of shows changed everything about the way that TV was presented. And then over the course of the next 10 years, there has been a change in the way that not just TV is presented, but the way that we consume TV.
Consume media.
Space. Right. So I think that the writers are taking a much harder line in the negotiation. Last time, from what I've read about the 07 strike, it seemed like it was a lot of the studio being a hardliner and saying, no, we're just not giving in. This time, I get the feeling it's a lot of the writers. And that's because they didn't get burned, but they didn't anticipate the way that what was going to happen in the future. And I think that's what they're looking at now.
Well, so I think they anticipated that internet and streaming was going to be more of a thing, which is why they pushed so hard for
digital rights.
And royalties
Yeah.
on digital projects. But they didn't. I don't think anybody imagined that Netflix would go from, something that many people had and watched old movies on to
getting DVDs at your house,
right,
to watching everything online.
Yeah, I mean, streaming was, I think, available.
It was
at that point on Netflix, but it was still like you're watching movies from the 80s, and every once in a while a newer movie would come on.
Well, I think the other thing too was we didn't see the shift going to the UK model of television, where it's 8 movies in a season instead of 22 shorter episodes.
Yeah.
So, or I don't want to say less quality, but the quality has gone up when you're only doing 8 or 10 instead of 22.
Right.
So.
And you're spreading your budget over that amount too. But part of that budget is the same amount of money you are giving the writers for, or lessening the amount you're giving the writers because you're only making 8 episodes as opposed to 22 or 10 episodes or...
And I think that there's a bit of the writers who are saying we need to anticipate what's going to happen in the next 10 years. And one of the big parts of that is the healthcare plan. And we talked about that a lot in the previous discussion about it. And that seems to be one of the big holdouts is the looking at the impending cost of the healthcare plan on the studios. And the writers are saying, you guys made $51 billion last year.
Yeah.
We're asking for $157 million to cover our healthcare plan. I don't know how you make a valid argument against that.
I mean, you could make an argument, I guess, that the writers don't need to have such a health plan.
True. Yeah.
I mean, it's not the studios who decided what health plan the guild should pick.
Right.
And why are they responsible for picking up on the fallout from their decisions?
Well, they're absolutely not. But if they don't, there's not going to be anything written for those studios. They're going to be in a bit of a pickle when it comes to
I get the two. I'm just saying, like, what is kind of what I think the essence of the problem here is between the studios and the writers is because the studios don't want to. They like the position they're in, and they want to try and keep it as close to that as possible.
Of course, yeah.
But the writers are trying to make up for the fact that the last couple times,
the world
rules changed.
Yeah, the world changed so much since the last agreement. So the studios are that's right. They're in the position of being able to say, no, we just want everything to stay like it is, which is a easy position to take. And the writers have to make up a lot of ground in the meantime. And sometimes that means that you have to hit them where it hurts. You have to take those ad dollars away when you're running reruns of The Big Bang Theory and not new episodes.
Yeah.
Or when Saturday Night Live or Jimmy Kimmel goes off the air because they don't have writers.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to hit them there. And that is the last...
And if the strike lasts a while, then you back up the industry.
Right. I mean...
You can't...
They were starting production, pre-production on stuff that was going to be in the fall lineup. And if this strike goes through the summer, that means that there is no fall.
Yeah.
Fall becomes like November, December if you make it to like August, September instead of debuting when it should. So,
right.
Or if reality TV comes back. And God, aren't we going to be happy about that? But I think the world's too different for reality TV. There's only so much that people are going to want to watch. But it's the last bastion of power.
But I don't... I think reality TV is here to stay.
But I don't think it's going to grow enough to fill what the writers have been doing. Like, reality TV came about... Well, now I don't want to say it came about because of the strike, but we saw an increased growth of it in 07 and 08.
A proliferation.
Yeah.
And especially on networks where you were just like, why do they... Like, Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
Like, what is Duck Dynasty doing on, was it History or something like that, or AMC or
No, it was TLC? TLC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, they were having like, reality shows on History Channel.
Right.
Like Gator Watch or whatever.
Oh, yeah, where they hunt the gators.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
It's like on History Channel. I'm just like, what the fuck does this have to do with history? You know what it has to do with history? They don't have any writers to write the content that would fill their network. So what they have to do is just follow people in Louisiana and gators and
let the editors make it into something that is palatable for people to watch.
Yeah.
But I think my thought is, though, that we have reached the end, not the end of that, but it is as big as it's going to get. Because I don't think people are going to want to watch that. Instead, what we'll do is watch Netflix and watch old stuff. And when those dollars go away from the studios, away from network TV, and back to Netflix to watch the old stuff that we like, that's going to hurt them.
Yeah.
And that is the last bastion of power for organized labor, is to hurt capital the only place that you can, and that's to take their money away.
Yeah.
So, and I think the November strike is fine, but this is the place that if you're going to strike, you do.
Yeah.
Because as that impending deadline of we need to start production August 1st to get the show out in late September. That's where we are. That creates a new deadline of, all right, listen, okay, let's talk about this. We're going to lose $11 billion this fall. Is it worth it to not give them $157 million?
Right.
And they have to make that decision. So,
yeah.
But we'll see. Again, they could come up with a deal. Their meetings theoretically today. They're planning to meet tomorrow. Today, Sunday. They're planning to meet tomorrow, Monday. And they'll probably be meeting right up until the deadline. They'll walk out of that room at 11:59. And the writers will make a symbolic picket line at 12 o'clock to say we are on strike, and then go home and come back out on Tuesday morning. And I'll probably see a picket line on my way to work tomorrow. So or way to work on Tuesday. Yeah. But yeah, so we will have to prepare. And like, again, strikes are never a great thing. It's something that's necessary. And certainly from our point of view of looking at it and saying, not great for our personal ambitions of wanting to make a career out of this.
Right.
But
there's no joining the WGA while a strike's happening.
Yeah.
So,
well, and not that you can't join, not that they won't let you join, but you can't do the things that you need to do to qualify for membership.
Right.
Because they would love to have I'm sure they'd love to have new members, but you can't do the things that they
it's not like you're writing something out of contract and getting into the WGA.
And then you become a scab and you can never become a member of the WGA. So it's unfortunate, but like I said, sometimes it's necessary, and maybe they'll come up with something. Maybe they'll reach an agreement and avoid the whole thing, and we'll all go whew. The problem, though, is the 10-year distance is you don't want to just rush to a deal. You can't. Because if you rush to a deal just to avoid that kind of deadline, then you end up screwing the members of your union for 10 more years.
Yeah.
And
I will say this, too. I mean, this doesn't seem like it has a profound impact, but every once in a while, a agreement comes along that profoundly changes how something operates.
Yeah.
Like once the baseball union decided that they were going to stand up for free agency, and there was going to be no more just offering a contract or not offering a contract to a player, and it was going to be like you have to negotiate against other teams to compete for the player.
Yeah.
That's when baseball went from you making $700,000 a year to you making $30 million a year.
And there are different opinions about how that impacted the game, but I think it established a better value for the players. Now we've lost a little bit of control of that, and things have gotten a little obscene. But looking like there's going to be a salary cap in baseball.
Not a salary cap, but
a huge luxury tax.
Right.
A 90% luxury tax.
Yeah, so, which makes people not do that so much.
Even the Yankees can't afford that kind of penalty. Yeah. So, but that's the way that this bargaining between capital and labor goes. It's sometimes labor gets a huge payoff.
And also, just one last thought. I know that Netflix and Amazon aren't negotiating with the Motion Picture Producers Association or whatever it is. I can't remember. But they do follow what goes on.
Right.
And it'd be interesting to know if the studios are going into these negotiations going like, what can we do to hurt
Netflix?
Them.
Yeah.
While we're trying to still negotiate. Like, if I was the studios, I would be trying, everyone's trying to create their own digital platform.
Right.
Their own digital network. I mean, there's nothing that Warner Brothers would love more than people paying $8 a month to
WB.
Yeah, to WB online or whatever.
Right.
But these are the guys nipping at their heels right now.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do about that?
Yeah. And if they're not guild signatories, which I don't think Netflix and Amazon are.
They are, but they don't
negotiate with.
Right.
Yeah. That means that they may be able to continue producing content if they can make a separate deal with the guild. Because you go out on strike and you're like, all right, so hey, Netflix, Amazon, let's talk about our deal. Let's get something done.
Something tells me they'll sit it out.
Well, they should.
The writers will sit it out because it's in their interest to get a better deal.
All over.
Yeah.
But it's also good when you can have Capitol arguing with itself. That is fantastic. When you have those two sides nipping at each other, and you're just waiting for the.
I mean, right now it just seems like it's they're both staring at each other in the saloon and waiting for one of them to break.
Yep.
And neither one is inclined to do it, and we'll just see at what point does somebody actually, because like
who has more to lose.
Two cars driving at each other. One of them has to eventually swerve off. So
and it always comes down to who has more to lose.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that the guild membership can survive longer than the senior leadership at any studio. When the shareholders are just like, all right, no, you're telling us we're going to have negative $11 billion this quarter. Not acceptable.
Yeah.
Make a deal. So, hopefully they'll bring out something. But we'll probably touch on it as the weeks progress and see how things go and. What it's like to be a writer and move to a city to be a writer during a strike. Yeah. So we'll see how that progresses. But some things that are progressing is the changes that you're going to see on YouTube. So if you are listening to the podcast right now, thank you and welcome. But you're missing out on half the show. Make sure you go on over to youtube.com/Oh the Anthem. And you're going to see, at least for one last week, our typical setup. You're going to see Corey sitting right over there. You're going to see me sitting right here. Our information screen up in the middle, and then to Corey's right and your left is the the sidebar, which is only here for one more week because YouTube is taking away the annotations.
I know.
So it'll be the end of an era. I don't know how many episodes we've had the sidebar for, but
I mean we could figure it out.
Yeah, it's been probably a year, a little over a year,
something like that,
of having the sidebar. So it's a little. Something. It's like a sweet goodbye to the sidebar.
Well, not only that, I mean, just missing out on the sidebar. We can't. I mean. With the video change, you're not going to be able to see things like that anymore.
Oh, hey. What just happened?
Better check out Oh the Anthem.
YouTube.com/Oh
the Anthem.
Yeah. And another thing to do is to make sure that when you go to YouTube, you are hitting subscribe. And it's great if you like any of the videos. We certainly encourage that too. But make sure you do subscribe because that way you'll get notifications when we go live in the future weeks. So if you want to make sure that you are able to watch us live on YouTube, you have to subscribe and you have to sign up to get the notifications of the live broadcast. So, and if you have YouTube on your cellular phone, if you have YouTube on your desktop computer or your laptop, you will be able to get a notification that says, "Hey, Oh the Anthem is live now." If you do subscribe, so make sure you do that, and then go back and you can watch videos from the past year or 2 years of us here doing this thing, and you can also watch the 3 previous years of Drinko de Mayo, which I highly recommend. Yes. So. But some other things that happened this week. The division in America has never been more clear. I mean, we talked about the writers and the studios. That's one division. But it seems like the entire country is divided. And that was made...
Breaking news.
We like to break news here at the Anthem, but that was more than abundantly clear this week. As
it seems like the level of something that would be CNN breaking news,
breaking news, country divided.
Yeah, it's like
Thanks.
Wow.
Thanks, Wolf. Yeah. But speaking of Wolf Blitzer, he and the rest of the Washington news media got together for the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
The literati,
if you will. Yes. Which is a tradition that happens in Washington. That the Washington Press Corps Association, there's a dinner. And everybody gets together and basically says, yay for free press and yay for all of us covering the White House. And typically, there's a give and take between the president, who has been covered sometimes good, sometimes bad by the press. He gets a little ribbing from the host, and then he gives the press a little ribbing as well.
Yeah.
The king of this, I have to say, maybe it's just time, but was Obama.
Yeah.
The guy who can deliver a joke, the guy who can take a joke.
Right.
And, they noted that every president has done this. The last one who didn't was Reagan, who was shot a few weeks before.
It was overcoming an assassination attempt.
Right. And, in fact, did go to the Correspondents' Dinner previous to that. Before that, I believe it was Ford, who skipped because he was under immense pressure from pardoning Nixon when he first came into office. So,
right.
In the shadow that cast, we now have standing firmly Donald Trump, who also skipped the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
And had a rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania instead.
And if there could be any greater division between the two things, it was Hassan Minhaj hosting the White House Correspondents' Dinner, a room that was a lot of white people, but Also, many people of color who are titans in their industry. And the Trump rally, which was lily white, like a field of poppies.
Yeah.
So starting with the correspondence dinner, we had a chance to we didn't watch it live because C-SPAN on Friday night, guys. Come on. What are we doing here? And also it was like at 6:00 Pacific time. Like we got things to do. Yeah. I was at work still while I was on.
The Orioles are on, all right?
But Hassan Minhaj, what were your thoughts about him?
I mean, listen, it's not an easy room.
Yeah.
I think he had some good jokes. I don't think he took it too far. It's just like God, the guy who was on the Nightly Show, Larry Wilmore.
Right.
When he did it last year, he went real hard.
He did.
And
some landed, some didn't. Yeah.
But you got to know where your footing is on that, and I think that he did well to know like where to push it a little bit and where to come back. Right.
But also able to make fun of himself when he got some groans and didn't get a laugh, So
it's not they're not funny people.
No.
The people in the Correspondents Association. No. I mean, they're just not they're not used to it. They're not used to being made fun of.
My favorite thing was Wolf Blitzer taking like a 2 count, and then you saw him get the joke and be like, like that is this room. It's a bunch of people who are like, oh, Hassan, I get you.
You know what else it is? It's a lot of people waiting for somebody else to laugh before they have.
All right, everybody.
Like, let's see if
Van laughs.
Yeah.
Does Don Lemon laugh? Okay, it's okay to laugh. Yeah. All right, good. All right, I'm fine.
Oh, he told a black joke? Let's all get a black person. They're laughing. Okay.
But yeah, the crux of many of the jokes were the fact that Donald Trump, none of the administration, Sean Spicer was not even at the dinner, which is like, how does the administration sit out the White House Correspondents' Dinner? I don't understand.
Because he was in Pennsylvania doing important rally-related things.
Yes, he was. So
I gotcha.
All right. So instead of being at the dinner,
hold on for that. We'll explain
that. We'll get to it. But instead of doing that, Trump held a rally in Harrisburg to celebrate his 100 days. Which, by the way, we jumped the gun on that a little bit last week.
But thankfully, he didn't do anything in the last 7 days.
Yeah, so totally fine. It didn't even just try and fail anything. Just nothing got accomplished.
Yeah.
He hung out at the White House.
I mean, he tried to fail on healthcare again.
Well,
and a tax plan.
He didn't speak out about the healthcare bill this time. Ryan failed the healthcare bill again. But a tax plan never showed. He like debuted it, and then they have not talked about it. So I'm not really sure what his plan is. Yeah.
Well, there weren't any numbers associated with it, which is usually an important first step in a tax plan.
Yeah, you would think. You'd think that like percentages and amounts would be important with taxes, but not in a Trump administration. No. Just big ideas and big plans.
Yeah. Well, we got words. We got the best words.
Best words. Yeah, so he took those best words to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where he made sure that he commented that he was 100 miles away from Washington, D.C. in the swamp. The swamp, which he has now created. Yeah. But fails to point that out.
The swamp that he filled with more people from.
More snakes and crocodiles. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Scariest moment.
More Goldman Sachs.
Yeah. Scariest moment of the rally for you.
Well, there was video of a protester, as there is at most of these rallies.
Now, a protester who is a white Joe the Plumber looking fellow.
Yeah.
Which was surprising to me, but yeah.
Well, I mean, something tells me that he probably has moral outrage, but figured if he comes in with like a camo trucker hat and like no sleeves on his shirt, then they're not going to assume that he's going to be the troublemaker.
Right. He's the guy who probably voted for Trump and is now pissed off that nothing is
Maybe he didn't even vote for Trump. Maybe he's just going to his country concert outfit. He's just like, I gotta fit in.
I could slip into a Trump rally. I think. Yeah. Yeah, man. I have enough clothing.
See, the problem is like DeRay couldn't.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, like, there's no outfit that he could change into where it'd just be like, you're trouble.
Yeah.
Which is for obvious reasons because Trump crowd. # Trump crowd.
Yeah. But yeah, so
protester. He's being arrested by many police officers. There are people at the rally who are like getting in his face while he's getting arrested, yelling at him.
Yeah.
and he's being dragged out like through the bowels of the stadium, and people are like yelling at him and pointing at him, and everyone's chanting USA.
Yeah.
And there have been many times where people have made the association between Trump rallies and Nazi Germany, but that was about as close as I've seen to an actual Nazi rally. Like, it looked, sounded, felt, it was tremendously like.
I don't understand. I don't understand how nobody there gets that. Maybe they do. Maybe they completely understand. And the whole personality cult of Kim Jong-un in North Korea, like, that is what you are developing here.
Yeah.
It's associating the country with the man. And with the thing that was missed, I read about that earlier in a story, and Trump pointed that guy out. And then when he was being escorted, he was still chanting things, anti-Trump, I'm assuming, things. And Trump said, he's not going quietly. Take him down. And then they, like, slammed him to the pavement, and 6 cops are on top of him, strapping him up.
Yeah.
Like, so wait, the cops took the direction from the man at the podium.
Right.
Who then starts a chant of USA, USA, while they're
But you know
dragging
what?
him out.
I would say this, in defense of the cops, just a little bit. They're probably all working for the event.
Right.
Like, they're not members of they're members of the Harrisburg Police Department, but they're not being paid by Harrisburg at the moment. They're being paid by Trump for America or whatever.
But
yeah.
They
and I'm saying, like, if they were being paid by Eddie Vedder because Pearl Jam's in town,
right,
and Eddie Vedder goes like, hey, get that guy out of here, then they're going to do it.
I don't know that they do it with such vim and vigor, though. There was like, he was on the ground, his arms were behind him.
I think
and
knowing that you're
like kneeling on his back.
I think that knowing that you're in a friendly crowd for that sort of thing, like, helps.
How did that video sneak out? That had to be another protester, right? Who's just like secretly videotaping it. Like, although some of the guys circling were videotaping it. Like, they're proud of it. And that's the scary Nazi thing about it. They are super proud to be doing this kind of thing. It's a scary time for the country.
And so we made a video joke here where we were putting up what looks like the AOK sign.
Yes.
What has traditionally been known as like, gotcha, Roger.
Yeah.
Like,
apparently not okay to do anymore.
Yeah. Apparently now it's a thing that white supremacists do.
Right.
And 2 of them, who had just gotten let into the White House press briefing room, stood in front of the flag and the White House logo and the lectern up front, and both did the symbol, which is going around the internet, and is a little bit. It used to be that a racist or a terrorist or whoever had to be like secret about it,
right?
Like, oh, think about it like gangsters. I'm doing something illegal. I'm doing something wrong. I have to look great up at top, like.
Right.
From street level, everyone's got to see me like a good guy.
I wear a suit. I give out turkeys at Thanksgiving. Yeah, I do the whole thing.
But when it comes time for my shady dealings, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just like people walking in with the AK-47s in front of the. It's like, hey, I'm a mobster and I'm covering the White House press room, like.
But the open and obviousness of it. So the big thing is that this has now essentially replaced the Sieg Heil or any of the other symbology, so that if you were to see another white person and you give them the AOK, that there is a response, which I assume is just this. There may be some other kind of response, but it's a way for...
Maybe you click your heels and do it first? Or
I don't know. But it's a way for 2 white people to be like, yeah, we're on the same side. I got you. And it's like the alt-right, which we can call alt-right so you know who we're talking about, but it's Nazis. It's nationalist, socialist, white supremacist people giving each other public symbols so that they know who they are amongst the same crowd. And I don't know how to feel about it. In the White House. In the White House, they are giving essentially the Sieg Heil.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a scary time to be in America.
Right.
And yeah, I get you're dragging the protester out because he's being disruptive. If he was being disruptive, we didn't see any video before that, so who knows what was happening.
I mean, he could have been very disruptive and
maybe
needed
that's
to.
Why he got But I've
maybe
also
hurled a chair.
Hit somebody?
Yeah, I don't know.
But we did see full video of the Trump rally from before the election where the black teenage girl was literally just standing there with an anti-Trump sign. And he's like, get her out of here. get her out of here. And they're like shoving her down the thing while she's walking out. Like,
yeah, and yelling racial epithets at her. I mean, like, that's the part, you know, if I'm a Bernie bro, and somebody comes into a Bernie rally with a Hillary sign and goes like, she's the only one who can possibly do this. What are you doing? You're ruining the Democratic Party. And she gets arrested and let out of there. Like, I might yell at her something about the election.
Right.
Like, I might yell like, Hillary's never going to do it. You should really give up. Or something like that. But I'm not going to be like, you know, like, racial epitaph. Like,
socially acceptable something.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? I almost said feminism. That is exactly the opposite of
right.
But yeah, no, just you don't, because you don't want to be perceived as that. They want to be perceived as that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But again, then 100 miles away, you have a room full of people who it's their job to hold the White House to task. And instead of ignoring the fact that he was at a rally in Harrisburg, every major network had cameras there.
Yeah.
They are supporting, they're uplifting in a way and they're running stories in the news about like how the white supremacist groups are forming coalitions. And while I think it's important that we know that that's happening, it's all about how you do it. And don't spin it in a positive light. Just like, this is dangerous and something needs to be done. Well,
also, it used to be that if you were a racist, you would just be kicked out of whatever like club you were in. If you're Michael Richards and you start yelling racial epithets on stage, you're ostracized from community forever.
Yeah.
You don't get an interview with W. Kamau Bell talking about like why you said the things you said.
I hate myself because I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it, but I hate them for recording it. Yeah. But since it's there, I feel like I should watch it because I feel like Kamau Bell is going to take him to task. Like he's just.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
You think Spencer's going to hold him?
See, here's the problem. And the reason why Richard Spencer is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And there's many like this between Richard Spencer and Milo Yiannopoulos and stuff like that, of people who are very good at articulating what their views are.
Right.
And can say it in such a way that it's not the traditional like racist line that you've heard, like, you know, like all the blacks are ruining everything and they're on welfare and dating my daughter and, you know, like, It's none of that. It's like what we have is we have a very difficult system where we have different people from different aspects, you know, and they're talking about it in vague generalities, but essentially what they're talking about is racism.
Yeah.
And how the white race is better and the black race is less, or anyone else.
And we especially
white or
need to
anyone
separate
else.
them.
Yeah.
Separate them all.
Right.
Separation is key.
But they say it in an articulate manner that makes them seem like they're well thought out and well read, and therefore their opinion should be taken just as seriously as.
And it should not.
Right.
It should not be.
Okay, got it?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
All right, so anyway, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds with Richard Spencer. I do want to watch that, and then you'll probably be able to catch that. Not next week, because next week's gonna. I don't want to get into.
It's gonna be a shit show.
I don't want to get into white supremacy when I'm drinking. That's not gonna be a good. Not gonna be a good mix. So maybe the week after. Maybe check out episode 162.
I don't want next week to be the last episode of the podcast ever.
Where I start threatening to fight white supremacists. But oh wait, I've done that before. But yeah, so if you're listening to the podcast, welcome. Make sure you check out, if you are listening, you're probably listening at otheanthem.com. While you're there, make sure you check out everything we have to offer, including the short films that are available there. The merch tab, we still have our merch up. And the Orioles are entering still at the very beginning of the season. We are 15-6 now. So they're in Boston, but they're coming home soon for a homestand. It's the perfect time to grab your Drinkbo, Scream-O, Play Ball t-shirt from the O The Anthem store so you can have it for the next homestand at Camden Yards. So make sure you do check all that. And if you're not...
And I'm going to be wearing mine for a game against Boston early June when I go home.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure that I bring my O The Anthem shirt to the yard.
So don't let Corey be alone. Make sure you go pick up your merch and wear those shirts to the yard. If you're not listening at otheanthem.com, you're probably listening on your pod catcher of choice, whether that's...
and anybody I see who's wearing one, I'll give $1 to.
He will definitely not do that. So he'll give you a hug, though, and you can take a picture. You know, there's that. Yeah. But if you're not listening at otheanthem.com, you're probably listening on Dogcatcher, Spotify, not Spotify. I am always screwing this. I don't know how I've got
Dogcatcher...
Wow.
Pocket Cast.
Our favorite Pocket Cast or iTunes. And hey, if you're listening, Stitcher, that's the one.
Yep.
Stitcher, Dog Catcher, our favorite Pocket Cast or iTunes. And if you're listening on
Apple
iTunes,
Podcasts.
That's right, Apple Podcasts. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps us climb the charts and help other people find our podcast on Apple Podcasts. Yeah. So make sure you do that. Whew, man, that was a wreck. That was a wreck of a break. Sorry about that, guys.
It was almost like Baltimore over the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, you would think that after everything that happened, we would be in a much different city. But 2 years have passed since Freddie Gray. Yeah. And we didn't really get into it much. But on the anniversary of Freddie Gray, a older woman died in police custody. Or was injured somehow. They said it was a medical emergency. Yeah. And then proceeded to go to the hospital and die several days later. Not quite the story of Freddie Gray. There was no van involved and all that. But woman goes into jail healthy. Something happens. Woman goes to hospital and dies. So 2 years later, and we're still doing the same thing.
I think it's... So I've been catching up on Undisclosed, which Rob insisted that I listen to. And I insist everybody listen to because it's very good.
Yes.
And it's made me think a lot about home, especially with this being the 2-year anniversary of the uprising and everything that went on with that. And something that's sort of been sticking with me recently, and I feel like I needed to get it off my chest, is how has nothing changed? Nothing's changed, and everybody's holding on like it can be the good old days, that we don't have to have a brand new day. And we're all just we're trying to make Groundhog Day happening, and it's not happening. What? I don't understand what the cause of that is.
Well, I remember when I saw pictures coming out of Baltimore on the first day of the uprising, and I was super excited about it. And I said, Arab Spring has come to America. The people have finally had it, and they are going to say, we are confronting the police. We're not going to let this happen anymore. And if there was a place it was going to happen, it was going to be Baltimore. Just a crowd that has had 60 years of shit piled on them. Yeah. And they are not going to take it anymore. And if that's not a simile for the Arab world, there is no better one. And then nothing. I mean, there was a couple of days of a day of violence, a couple of days of protest, and then it all went away. And 2 years later, people are still dying. The homicide rate is up in Baltimore.
We hit over 100 in this last week.
In April.
Yeah.
Which is the earliest that we've hit it in the last 60 years.
Yeah, we hit it in June and July of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Which were both 300 plus.
On track to have more murders in New York.
Yeah.
Not per capita.
Yeah.
On track to have more murders than New York City, a city of 6-7 million people. 8 million people.
Yeah.
And Baltimore has how many?
650,000.
Yeah. So. All the violent crime is up. Aggravated assaults, robbery, attempted murder, everything, just gun violence, all of that is up. And I don't know, you would think a new administration would do something, but we blamed Stephanie Rawlings Blake for a lot of that. But Catherine Pugh seems to be just another Stephanie Rawlings Blake.
What always gets me is I like to... sometimes I'll watch situations and I'll say, oh, wow, that person's getting fired.
Yeah.
It didn't happen with United, but I was just like, well, everybody involved in that plane is going to get fired.
Yeah. How about the cops who pulled guns on 6 12-year-olds on the street?
Right.
Because they matched the description of an 18 to 25-year-old black man who had robbed a store. Those guys are definitely getting fired, right? No. Cleared.
But especially listening to Undisclosed, it's given me an opportunity to sort of reflect back on it a little bit.
Yeah.
What point do we take away things from the police?
Oh, 100%.
At what point do they no longer get to be in charge of the camera system?
Should have never been in charge of it. But yes, they should definitely not be in charge of City Watch. Put that in the mayor's office. Hire some people to do that.
Right.
But the cops should not have, because when they're talking about this
number
camera
one too, because you gotta have cops watching it. So you're paying cops, $90,000 a year to watch the cameras.
Yeah. if they paid me $35,000 a year, I would have gone, what kind of great job is that?
Yeah.
You're essentially just watching the cameras move automatically until someone says corner of Green Mountain, and then you go over and you manually control it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just in the room.
Yeah.
And apparently half of them don't work most of the time. So,
But then there's never an excuse like, like we're waiting for the police to release the footage or.
Right. Nope.
No worries about what cameras are working, which cameras aren't.
Yep.
And I know that, like the city doesn't want to throw the police under the bus because they want to try and get through this with as little trouble as possible.
Right.
But this is just going to keep happening. You're like, oh my God, these leaves are on fire. We better move as many leaves away from the fire as we can. But you didn't move them far enough away from the fire to keep them from catching. Like you've just slowly delayed the process.
Yeah, let's just move them a couple inches away. I'm sure that'll be fine. Yes, I'm sure that'll
make a perimeter around the fire of the leaves that can't catch on fire. Like,
let's make a ring leaf around a ring of leaves around the burning leaves. I'm sure that'll stop the fire. But the city's just not getting any better. Yeah. And no one's getting fired.
Yeah.
No one is doing anything.
Nobody's being held accountable either. Yeah. I mean, like, nobody's. When Rawlings Blake did her coward act of, like, disappearing. Yeah. Nobody got the chance to, like, talk to her and say, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what is your plan? Like, she's like, oh, I'm not running again. Somebody else can figure it out. I am just. Okay. What's your plan?
Yeah.
Like.
You're running the city for the next few months.
Right.
Have something going
or
on.
Just get Catherine Pugh and just be like, what is your plan?
Let me start it.
Yeah.
Let me start it. Here's the incoming mayor, Catherine Pugh. She's going to tell you her plan, which I'm going to begin to implement so that people don't die.
Yeah.
So that 360-some people do not die this year. And again, we're on track to do over 400 murders this year.
Yeah.
And that is more
an unspeakable number.
More than the city of New York, not per capita. More than the city of New York,
the largest city in America.
I can't. How does that happen? And in the same day, like people are getting shot in broad daylight.
Yeah.
In residential neighborhoods on the street corner, and the cops are like, "Who knows? Like, what are the City Watch camera for? Like, your camera is right there.
Yeah.
What are you doing about it?"
And the fact that just listening to, again, undisclosed, but like being able to edit the videos and stuff, like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
How has
that not been taken away? That should have been number one.
Yeah.
Number one, you guys are not in charge of that camera system anymore.
Or
like,
body
fuck
cameras,
you. Like,
they get
because let the fucking police strike. Let them go. Like, like, no, we need those cameras to. No, fuck you. You're done. Go ahead and go out in public and tell us why you need to run these cameras.
Right.
I'll find just as many people to talk about the number of times where the cameras don't work, or the number of times where something shady happened on the cameras, or
the cops who know where the cameras are.
Yeah.
And they, you get a phone call, you see a cop on the phone, camera goes down.
Yeah.
Surprising how that, or it pans away.
Yeah.
And just stays panned away for a while.
Yeah, just looks at a wall.
And then comes back, and now nothing's there. Hey, what do you know? The body cameras are another. Body cameras are coming back to Baltimore. The police are going to have the opportunity to review the video before they write their reports.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So what you're saying is we don't want to catch you in a lie. What we're going to do is we're going to make you be able to draft your narrative around what the camera shows and what it doesn't. So, you shot the kid, but all right, so right there you can't see his hands at all. All right, so I can say that he had a gun. It looked like he had a gun in his hands. There you go. I'm covered. Whereas if he says, but
the problem is even if it's the worst thing that could possibly be caught on camera.
Yeah.
If you get to review it, you at least get a chance to think about it. Like, if I'm working at a restaurant and I'm bringing the burger, it's like, like, oh, here, Rob, here's your burger. And I spit in it and then give it to you. Like somebody's going to pull me aside and go like, what the fuck was that? And I only have the amount of time from when I spit in it to when somebody asks me that to figure out what the hell I'm going to say to try and like come up with the response. Right. If Baltimore police are out there like, like, I hate black people and spraying bullets into a crowd.
Right.
And then they get to look at the thing and it's just like, all right, so what the fuck am I going to say about this? Like, you get time to like think about it. You already don't have to talk to anybody.
Right. You already get 2 weeks or 3 weeks before you have to say anything to anyone.
Right.
Now, you can't go into the precinct, and you're not supposed to contact anybody except for your union representative.
Right.
But you can talk to a lawyer. But not only do you get the chance to sit and think about it, but now you get a chance to review the only evidence that may dispute your telling of the events. And then you get to come up with a narrative. So now I get to review it the next day.
Yeah.
I review the video the next day. And then 3 weeks to come up with a narrative. And then now I tell you what happened.
Right.
We can't convict cops under the last system. We're never going to convict them under this.
Is there just like a union contract that runs up at some point?
Yeah. It's
and
collectively bargained.
I mean, is watching the cameras as part of that or something like that?
No. That is an internal Baltimore City police project. It started out with the police. It was under a grant by a company who put up the cameras, and then the Baltimore police were like, "Well, I guess we'll do it because the grant covers some of our overtime." Always comes down to money and overtime.
Yeah.
So, hey, Bill, I know your kid's in private school. Why don't you work 10 hours on the camera? We got that grant money coming in, and that'll make up for the overtime. And, you're on desk duty? Okay, so no overtime for you, but if you go work the cameras, you can make up for some of the overtime you couldn't get on the street on the cameras. And then when the thing got up, it just got put in the budget for the police department.
Yeah.
And they work the cameras. It's their program. But it could easily be that the mayor or the council says we're not funding this.
There should always be a step removed from
the police.
Yeah, or anything. I mean,
anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm drunk and I'm driving around and I hit somebody's car, like I hit a pedestrian and kill them, and it turns out to be the judge's wife, the judge doesn't get to be the judge in that case.
Right. Yeah.
The judge has to go.
I shouldn't laugh. That's a horrible.
No, I know, but I'm saying the judge doesn't get to go well, man, I'm really looking forward to judging this one. No.
No.
There's a conflict here. You're not allowed to be the judge. But there's got to be someone else. But now, Baltimore City, it's just oh, fuck that kid, fuck that judge's wife. I'm gonna judge anyway.
Right. And by the way, I'm no appeal. I'm the one who's going to send you, and you get a shitty lawyer. And when you are fighting the cops in Baltimore, because they'll follow you around, you start getting pulled over all the time. You start getting harassed by the police.
Sounds like something that you have personal experience with.
No, of course not. Well, not in L.A. at least, not yet. But no, it's. But you're also making a good argument for whistleblowers because the government, the American government, is the same way. They get the intelligence. They bomb Syria, and they're like, well, based on the intelligence that we had that you can't see, we decided we need to take this action that's justified by the thing that you can't see.
Right, but I'm saying, there's a difference between intelligence and, I mean, at least hypothetically, you would think that if somebody was doing something completely untoward with intelligence.
You mean the NSA reading everybody's emails and texts?
Like that.
The way that
maybe
Snowden said was happening, and it turns out it was happening?
Yeah. You would think that, at least hopefully, that another bureau like the FBI might step in and go hey, that's wrong.
Yeah, no.
But no, it's not.
They're like, hey, can we see that? Yeah. Can we see that stuff too? That'd be great. Yeah. But instead, Snowden is in Russia in exile essentially, and the NSA this week said, yeah, we were doing that, but we're not doing it anymore. They finally admitted that everything that Edward Snowden alleged they were in fact doing, that it probably was illegal. But we're not doing it anymore. Yeah. So don't worry about it. So there's no need for any further investigation. Yeah. We are not going to be doing it anymore. So
we're just doing it with people who have contact with foreign agents.
Yeah.
Which means that, when I've called my Brazilian friend Lucy, now all of a sudden I'm tracked into this again because I've talked to somebody who is foreign.
Yeah. And
even though they're not an adversary or...
We're not at war with them. Yeah. We are on very good relations with them. But it doesn't matter because you have contacted somebody who is foreign.
Right.
And then the question is, if Lucy was a naturalized citizen, and her dad was not, now because you contact Lucy and her dad's not, is that enough removed that they can't listen, or can they still listen?
Who knows? Who knows?
And that is
probably not
at every level, whether it's Baltimore City cops looking at cameras or the NSA reading your emails. All of this. Suffice to say, we did not have an Arab Spring in America. And it's 2 years in, and everywhere you are, it's not getting any better.
Yeah.
But it is getting better in one respect, and that's that DeRay now has a podcast, which I am looking forward to listening to. And I think that everybody should check out Pod Save the People. I I only heard the teaser, but it was great to hear his voice again and be like, oh, it's so soothing. It's like passionate and soothing. So I'm looking for. Apparently, he's going to like jump in on the first week and talk about something. So he's like very excited about it. I'm excited too. So hopefully that works out. But
and as a friend of the podcast, we like to
support people who support our podcast.
Yeah.
You know? So, speaking of supporting the podcast and speaking of friends of the podcast, this is where we would usually do a Patreon read of sorts to encourage people to go to patreon.com and support the podcast. But we're not going to be doing that this week.
No. We have decided that we are going to put the Patreon in hiatus for a little while.
Right.
While we figure out how we're going to reappropriate it for the future.
Right.
Now, a big part of this is because we're going to be transitioning to the live streaming, like we discussed earlier with the Drinko de Mayo.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that we're doing the best for the Patreon people, and we don't want to just be going without content for them for a while. So let's just hiatus it, put it out there, and work on something better. So if you guys have any ideas for things that might interest you as a potential Patreon subscriber, let us know.
Sure. The other thing to know is that in a bit of a replacement, a placeholder for the time being, make sure that you go to otheanthem.com and sign up for the email list.
Yes.
Because that'll be the best way to get... We've been using the Patreon, the pre-roll and the Patreon feed for insider information for people who want that kind of insider information. If you're looking for that, it costs you nothing to sign up at otheanthem.com for the email list, and then every so often you'll get an update. And like the basketball video, which it was going to be a Patreon-only product, but we're thinking about making that more widely available for people. If you are signed up to the email list, you'll get it first. Yeah. You'll get early access to all that stuff. And like I said,
it's not only that. If you watch the basketball video and see the amount of work and time that was put into it, and say, wow, I would like to see more content like that, Patreon is where you're going to go in the future.
Right.
Just right now, we're walking away from it.
And it's about making sure that we are producing great content and that it's worth giving the people their money's worth on Patreon.
Yeah.
And so in the meantime, while Patreon's on hiatus, make sure you do sign up for the email list. It's a great way to stay up to date on what's going on behind the scenes at O The Anthem. So otheanthem.com, it'll be right there on the home screen where you can sign up for the email list. And then we're not going to spam you. We're not going to sell your information, so you don't have to worry about any of that. It's just at irregular intervals, you'll get an email from us like, hey, we've been working on this. We just wanted to, or hey, here's a quick 4 or 5 minute non-podcast audio clip where we just talk about what's going on. So that'll be the place to get that kind of information. So
absolutely.
All right. So on to the last bit of news for the day.
Sports ball. And I know everybody, including the Anthem Alliance, is excited about this. Although I wouldn't really know because it seems we've been weeks without an Anthem Alliance episode. I don't. There was an Anthem Alliance episode this weekend. So.
I mean, it posted right before we went to record, and it had been so long since I saw a new one. It flashed by, and I almost didn't see it because I was so used to not.
Maybe it's because you saw a Dirty Shore, you just got all thrown off.
I mean, it could be that too. Yes,
it's like the world's in disarray.
I've seen a lot of Dirty Shore Underground stuff coming up, and not so much Anthem Alliance. It's not that I'm trying to cause some sort of fight between those two to encourage both of them to work. But talking more about sports ball in Baltimore, there's been a lot going on. It was a sports heavy weekend in Baltimore. So let's start with the NFL draft. NFL draft was this past weekend.
Yes.
And what were your thoughts about the Ravens in the draft?
I mean, the benefit of being a better team, I guess. I mean, like we weren't a great team last year, but we were picking in the middle of the first. So we didn't get, like one of the top stars of the draft, but Humphreys, the cornerback that we drafted with our first round pick, apparently is very good. I don't watch college football, so I have no idea.
Nope.
No clue. We drafted a Saragusa, but not a Saragusa.
Not
related to Tony Saragusa.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I don't know. I just generally thinking, I think that it's adding to the depth at corner is going to make me feel a lot better about the Ravens' chances in the future.
What are your thoughts about not taking a wide receiver at all in the draft?
I'm okay with it.
All right. Because we picked up Woodhead, so we have another offensive weapon. But he's not a wide receiver.
I don't think between like Perryman and Wallace and, like the other guys that we have a little bit lower on the depth chart.
Yeah.
That obviously you want to have like a star
wide receiver.
But when you're picking 16th in the draft, you don't really have the option of picking that star.
And it was not an offensive heavy draft. There's a lot of defensive players taken.
Yeah,
so.
and it seemed like an unusual. Anytime the Ravens have picked for a position, it's always ended terribly. It's just better when you're just like, hey, Terrell Suggs is the best person on the board. Let's take Terrell Suggs.
Yeah.
When you trade up for Kyle Bowler,
ends badly.
and you're just trying to force a square peg into a round hole, it doesn't work. Like
the Bears, who traded up to get a quarterback after they just paid a quarterback $40 million. Yeah. Ridiculous.
I think that Ozzy's the best of this. Yeah. We should not question what Ozzy does.
Does it make you think that maybe there is something going on in a deal with another wide receiver?
I mean,
and they're
maybe.
Like, don't draft it because we got some pots on the stove and we are working on something.
Maybe, and like we don't know what Perryman's looking like, right? I mean, like he could have had an injury last year that we didn't know about,
right?
Like he's been dealing with a tight hamstring all season. You know, like I don't know.
And they wouldn't tell us.
I just think that the more depth you have across the board, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
We don't need dynamic wide receivers because that doesn't really fit into how we play football.
Joe doesn't play football that way. He checks down to tight ends and running backs. That's what we need.
But also, people like Adrian Peterson signed like a 2-year, $7 million contract with the Saints.
Yeah.
Like it seems like we could hypothetically make a trade with, I don't know, the Jets or whatever, and just pick up.
Receiver.
Yeah, like it seems like the value of these players isn't as high as you would think it would be. You could just make a random trade for a 7th round pick and get somebody great, and maybe Bolden comes back. I've heard that sort of talk.
That's the one that I've been hearing that's been on the news.
And I mean, like Bolden has never been like a super dynamic wide receiver.
He's the third down guy.
He gets you a reliable catch. He runs good routes. Or routes, whichever way you want to go on that.
Yeah.
I just think that we don't need Dez Bryant, or we don't need
Dez Bryant or a receiver like
Lee Evans or anything. Like we
would
just
not
need
fit in this offense.
We just need good, reliable hands.
Yeah.
Move the chains.
All right, so then you in Ozzy we trust as always.
Yeah, I mean, just we'll see. I don't know anything about any of these players when they come out, unless it's Peyton Manning
or RG3.
Yeah, and you just hear about it all the time. Like the media can't help but talk about the guy who's about to come out.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Right. So
it's all a crapshoot.
Moving on, Orioles.
Yes.
Won in a nail biter today.
Yeah.
In 10.
And dropped our first series of this season. I was hoping we'd be able to get through all of April without dropping a series.
Yeah. But 15
wasn't
and 6,
meant to be.
15-6 is not bad.
No. And the one thing that really got me throughout this entire Yankees series is, number one, I don't think the Yankees are going to be that good for the whole season.
Aaron Judge is a beast.
Yeah.
But he strikes out like a bitch, too.
Yeah.
So...
and Chase Headley is not going to be on fire forever, and the pitching staff will eventually explode. CC Sabathia is not better than he was last year. He's just doing better at the moment.
Marginally better right now. Yeah.
The bullpen's eventually going to explode. You're going to have to deal with Chapman if you are losing. Like, none of these things really
They had a pitcher in this game who went to play first, so they had him available if they needed him in later innings.
Yeah.
Like that says something about your bullpen, I think, or what you think about your bullpen.
Or Girardi just being a terrible manager.
Could be that too, yeah.
But I will say this: not to take away from the Yankees and their victories, and I'm not the spoil sport or anything like that. But I think if Britton was healthy this series, it would have been way different.
Especially Friday's game.
Yeah.
Friday's game was abysmal.
Well, I mean, Brock lost it in the 9th, which is unusual. Usually Brock doesn't do that sort of thing. But I feel like if Brock would have been 1 inning sooner and sort of kept them from hitting the grand slam that allowed them to get back into the game, and then Britton comes in. I mean, like, At some point, Britton's given up a run.
Yeah.
But do you think Britton's given up 3 or 5?
No.
He just doesn't seem like he's going to get shellacked anytime soon because he doesn't throw anything that would allow him to get shellacked.
If things get out of control, he brings the fire pitch and just shuts that shit down.
Obviously. Anybody who's been at Camden Yards and looked at the scoreboard, they know about that legendary
We haven't
fire
seen
pitch.
it in live yet, but we know it exists. Cause there's
probably has something to do with the injury.
It could be that. But yeah, so it was a bad series, but we pulled out a win. We didn't get swept, so there's that. And 15-6 is not bad. Heading out of April, and it's 162 games. And what did you say last week? 54 wins, 54 losses.
What'd you do with the other 54 that matter?
And thus far, we've won every series except for this one. So we are at +6 for series.
Yeah.
All right, good. I'll take that.
Yeah.
And heading to Boston for 4. So we'll see how that works out.
6 of the 54 we've already won.
Yeah.
Of that middle 54 we've already figured out.
And that's all you need.
Yeah.
So, and we luckily avoid the sweep, which would have made that math a little more difficult to do. But yeah, so
it might have been different though. Actually, I think it might be more than 6. Yeah, it's more than 6.
6, 8. Yeah, and I didn't do that math right. So it's 15, 21.
It's 4 weeks. You're probably playing 2 series a week.
No, 7, 7, 7. Because we play 21 games. 15 and 6. 21 games.
Okay, yeah.
So 7, 7, and 7. So
it's 7 more. Yeah.
But we're at +6 right now. I was right.
Yeah.
Why did you question me?
No, all right.
Well, math is not my strong point, and I actually just went with instinct.
It just didn't seem right. I just
+6. Yeah, so we're at +6 in the middle. But anyway, nonetheless, this show is almost over, guys. Don't worry, and so is the cap season.
Oh
Let's talk about that. So we went in with much.
I gotta say one thing because I did listen to a little bit of the Anthem Alliance before I got into it.
Okay.
Rarely, or specific. I mean, okay. I don't hate Pittsburgh just in general. I hate the Steelers.
Right.
And then that's about it. I mean, they don't have a basketball team.
Yeah.
I don't care one way or the other about the Pirates.
Unless we're in the World Series.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
It's the only time I'd ever care about them. My hatred of Pittsburgh is pretty much exclusively Steelers.
Okay.
I don't like the fact that the Penguins are from Pittsburgh.
Right. Because
that just ties into the same people who root for the Steelers, and that makes me feel, awful inside. But
right.
It has nothing to do with like a hatred of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It just happens to be that the Penguins are what the Caps should be.
Right. A good team that is consistent.
Yeah. They have great players, and they all play well together, and they figure out a way to win when they need to the most, and they're always in the thick of it.
Sometimes they score more goals than they even need to score.
And they win 5 Stanley Cups.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what. Here's the problem: the Capitals are a more talented team than the Penguins.
Right.
I would say if you go across like all the great players of the Capitals and all the great players of the Penguins, I'd rather have the Capitals players. I'd rather have Ovechkin than Crosby.
Right.
I'd rather have Backstrom than Malkin or something like that. You know, like
Holtby.
Oh yeah, I'd rather have Holtby over Marc-Andre Fleury all day. Like, but when the Capitals get to the playoffs, they just can't keep it together. They just lose it, and now they're talking about like we got to go back to playing the game that helped us win in the regular season, which is not the game that allows you to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I don't know. I'm unraveling.
Here's the thing.
Yesterday's game, the 6-2 loss was embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I wish somebody would hit Kevin Shattenkirk with their car. And I don't know what Barry Trotz is doing at all. Like,
he might as well not even come out to the ice. Just stay up.
I feel like he's sleeping like Lee Mazzilli used to do. Like, I don't get how he's watching the same game that I'm watching and thinking that things are okay. Like,
well, and
like if I just feel like if I was the coach of the Capitals and they had given up some of the goals that they had given up, I would have just like put them all like, I would have Three Stooges them. I would have made them all turn towards me on the bench and just slapped them all across the face.
Yeah.
Like
you
are all idiots.
Yeah.
Like,
but pulling Holtby and leaving in Shattenkirk, why?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Holtby's back there stopping 99% of the shots, but they're letting them take so many shots.
Here's the problem. Holtby did give up some goals that you would expect him to stop.
Yeah.
And the Caps are lucky in the fact that Grubauer, our backup goalie, is just as talented. I mean, like numbers wise, just as talented as Holtby.
Right.
Like their numbers are pretty much exactly the same. Only Holtby plays 60 games and Grubauer plays 20.
Right.
So it's not like you're putting back like any old jerk to play goal.
Right.
Like you're pulling Holtby
Just go
and
sit
putting
in there. Go sit in there and do your best.
Yeah, they're putting in a legitimately good goalie. The problem is Holtby can only really, if you're giving people breakaway opportunities in front of the goal, eventually they're going to score. Like
that was going to be my point.
It's too hard to defend against something without any kind of defense.
Look at the defenseman, not at the goalie.
Yeah.
Because if they're taking 200 shots, they're going to start making, and not even just the quality of the shots, the
right?
Breakaways, 2-on-1 breakaways. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah, and if you're out of position, if you're getting in the face of Holtby while he's trying to like stop goal, like
yeah.
I don't blame Holtby for any of this. I think I would like it if he was a little bit more unstoppable like he had been in the past.
Yeah.
Because there have been like that time where he like charged out to the blue line to tackle some guy and take away a shot. That's great. I love that. But you can't do that every time. Like
no. Well, and so what
you're supposed to have blue liners to fix that.
What's your expectation right now? They play again tomorrow, right?
Pain.
Just is it going to be a sweep? Are the Pens going to sweep?
Oh, I don't know. The Capitals might win a game. They might win the series. It's all
just heartbreaking ridiculousness.
The thing is, like I feel like I'm a father of an expectant child back when half the kids died. Like I'm like trying to be excited.
Could live to adulthood. Might die tomorrow. I have no idea.
I'm trying to be excited about the fact that I'm going to be a father and I'm going to have a child and we're going to play catch and I'm going to take him to Orioles games and nope, dead. Like,
it's
so, like you can't get your hopes up. Like, if the Caps won 3 in a row in convincing fashion, it's not like the Game 6 will roll around or Game 6 will roll around and I'll be like, yeah, the Caps got this one. They got it figured out. No.
They're going to lose it. Here we go.
Yeah. If the Caps won 4 straight, moved on to the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm not feeling great. There's no amount of games the Caps can win in a row where I'm feeling confident.
Right.
There is only pain. There's only like the... I am the dog that got hit by his previous owner. And now anytime you go to pet him, I'm like... I'm skittish and I'm moving, Like...
Right.
That dog will never know love like a normal dog would. Like he's always going to be
a little on edge.
Yeah,
yeah.
And that's what the Cavs have done to their fans. They've just ruined our ability to enjoy life.
Well, and I will say,
and especially Kevin Shattenkirk.
I don't hate the city of Pittsburgh. I
hate their stupid faces.
I do kind of. I don't hate anyone from Pittsburgh. They're not my favorite people. I have questions about them. I have questions about people who cheer for the Steelers. I want to know about their intelligence level. And that's only challenged by people who cheer for the Steelers and the Redskins and the Lions. I don't understand people like that. That just overly complicated. I haven't even listened to this week's episode. I'm just speaking in generalities. Just in generalities. So anyway.
Well, thinking of things that won't ever let you down.
Yeah, what's that?
OhTheAnthem.com, Corey to OhTheAnthem.com, OhTheAnthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line, which is the best place to leave words, the best words. Y'all have the best words. And, more specifically, words for Drinko de Mayo.
Right.
And to participate in Drinko de Mayo.
Oh, yeah.
443-219-7595.
What's the number again?
443-219-7595.
And you can find me on all your social networks, officially all of them again. At Robert N. Cheek, including Snapchat, Facebook, Musically, everywhere at Robert N. Cheek. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com, where you can find links to my political blog, foundingthefuture.us, the news website, and the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But for one last time, in this particular makeup of the Anthem Podcast, this setup, it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Anthem Podcast, part of the Anthem Digital Network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Hold on, I got a great idea for a goodbye joke.
Okay.
For the sidebar.
Go ahead.
Let's just both look this way and salute, and I'll make it sync.
Okay,
right? I hope people tune in for this. Doo-doo.